Guys, can you believe I've been doing this for like 3 months now or so? I have like a whole bunch of videos out and it's going really well. This interview, I had a 2 week break. We're kind of the end of the Corona, did a random trip to Idaho over the weekend. It's the day after Memorial Weekend today. And I'm getting a little more nitpicky on the people that I'm bringing on, people that I actually find interesting. It makes the conversation a lot easier. In fact, this one I had 1 to 2 notes on her name, and I wanted to talk about photo shoots, and ultimately putting those things together, we were able to have this amazing hour-long conversation. So guys, today's guest is Holden Wunders, Holden Suicide, and I'll have her information down below, but she's a model friend of mine who I actually knew or met through photography. Just found out that she knew about me before, but I reached out to her and I had this really cool concept. And that's kind of how I build kind of my network and my relationships. Once I work well with somebody, then I want to keep going back to make it easier. I hate having to prove myself. I hate having to showcase that I am a normal guy. I have a family. I'm not going to murder you. I'm not going to kill you. I just want to create epic art, and I need you to create epic art. So her and I have done a ton of trade shoots together, meaning that we shoot for each other, we build each other's portfolios, and it's not really about money, but it's really about creativity. And once you kind of eliminate money on any aspect, then you have an understanding that you're going to create art, and that's kind of the fun thing of it. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with making money. We have to make money, but there's something to be said about taking off of it, and it's great. So guys, we're at the tail end of our Corona. We're about to hit phase 2 here in Reno. Our governor is going to announce what phase 2 is. At this point, we don't know what it is. I'm really hoping tattoo shops will open up, massage therapy will open up. I'm hoping things will happen. We have casinos here in Reno. They might open June 4th, which is in like a week and a half. It's just so crazy right now that things are open, things aren't open. I mean, people are walking out. Nobody's wearing masks anymore. It's like it didn't happen, but we're still closed for whatever reason is going on. So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope as you guys are listening to this, everything's passed. This will be out a few months or a few weeks after. I don't know when it's coming out, like July, late July, maybe early August. So things will have progressed and changed by then. And maybe I'll have my braces off by then. I'm so close to getting them off, and I want to get them off. I'm so ready for it. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So guys, my name's Jeramie. I own Raw Focus, Jeramie Lou Photography. I'm your host today. Should have put that at the beginning, but I don't. But I want to thank you guys so much for the support thus far. Of course, you can find me. My email is just jeramielou@gmail.com. You'll have all my info on the notes, my website, of course. I am a professional photographer, so if you need bookings, I travel all around the world. Commercial, wedding, and portrait photographer as well. This is a small local podcast. Wasn't meant to be huge or anything like that. But if it does blow up, what up, everybody? You knew me when. So without further ado, let's get into our conversation. Here is Holden Wunders. Hey, take your time. What's up? How are you?
Yay. Good.
Were you worried you couldn't figure it out?
It just took me a second. I've never used Zoom before, and you have to, it doesn't just have the like allow or not allow for microphone and audio access. It was like dial for audio.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, but yeah, once you're in there, like you should be able to like change. So I have like 6 different speakers and 6 different like microphones built into my computer system.
Fancy.
So I just get to pick one. Yeah, but you can use Zoom for like whatever now. Now you can do like your Patreon stuff and then just be like, hey, you can Zoom me.
Yeah, right? Let's see. Trying to make it not so bright in here.
It's just an auto setting that's going to change on your thing. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah.
Are you on your phone?
Yeah.
Cool. Do you want to turn your phone sideways? Does that look bad or?
Fucked up for that. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. It's my OCD thing, but it's really, I have to remember it's a podcast and not like, it's not meant for video.
I'm not professional like you, okay?
It happens. That's where I spend all my money. How are you today?
I'm good. I've been just taking the day slow, getting ready,
Yeah.
and blasting Wicked around the house.
How are you feeling?
um, the same as always,
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, with COVID and everything going around, my journey to try and get diagnosed
Hmm.
has, because the last time I talked to a doctor, they were like, hey, you need to go to San Francisco or a bigger city because Reno can't help you anymore. And I was like, cool. And then Corona happened, so
So
traveling.
they don't have, you don't have a diagnosis yet?
um well, what happened is basically I have been diagnosed with my chronic pain condition that we've talked about before.
Right.
But in July, I got really, really sick on a trip that I went with my husband. And I don't know what happened, but we basically flew to LA to drive his aunt's truck, like moving truck, to
Right.
Ohio. And I started feeling really weird and sick on like just the first night that we were there. And then just as we got in the truck and started moving, I just kept getting more and more sick. And I ended up in an emergency room in New Mexico.
Holy
And
crap.
it was honestly one of the worst experiences of my entire life. And they had no idea what to do with me, and I couldn't eat food for days. Like I started withering away, and
Right.
I had
And this was before the diagnosis of that, right?
no. So I don't have a diagnosis for what happened here.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so I've been technically sick with a chronic pain nerve disorder since
Right.
um and that has been diagnosed. It took a really long time to get diagnosed with that, and that happened around 3 years ago, but I always knew that I had something along the lines
Off.
of,
Right.
yeah. But gosh, I just could not eat anything, and I just kept getting sick and sick and sick, and I had to fly home from New Mexico, leave my husband with
Oh,
the truck. He had to finish taking it to Ohio by himself. um and then I came home and I still couldn't eat. Like I basically was eating chicken broth for a week, and it was
right.
so bad that they admitted me to the hospital because they were like, you're gonna die of starvation. Like I just could not eat anything. My body would not take it, and that's just kind of been what I've been struggling with for since July.
Have you gotten that sick again since then?
It's gotten a little bit better. So like if it was, I would say like 9 or 10 is where I was at, like
Hmm.
tip top, like hospitalized, very sick. I still deal with it every single day. I eat like one meal a day now, and I try to like separate it to try to get like calories and fuel my body. But I swear something is attacking my body from the inside. I just have no idea what it is. We've done a bunch of tests, and the doctors were like, we just really don't know what to do with you at this point, and we need to send you to a specialist. So I went through like 5 to 7 different tests, whether it was like endoscopies or
Oh,
like x-rays or CTs, or there was this really weird one where they basically injected me with um, hazardous material. It
right.
was like container with a giant X on it. And I was like, great, you're putting that in my body. And then they basically watched it through a CT scan, me digesting that material to see if my organs were functioning correctly for
Right.
like 2. I was just sitting there like, this is cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we don't know. And they basically were like, yeah, you need to go to a specialist who has more time, energy, resources than we do, because we just can't figure out what is wrong with you. So every day is a big struggle.
So
But
what's the plan now as everything starts to come back to normal slowly? Are you guys still planning on going to like the Bay and getting something figured out?
yeah, I mean, I don't really have a choice at this point because I'm really not even functioning. And then on top of my chronic pain disorder, it's just nightmarish, you know. So I went from functioning a couple days a week to flaring and getting better and working through it to I just like try to do a set a day and just die the rest of the
God, I
so
mean, it's one of those things. Like, you know, I'm fortunate. I think me and my family are fortunate that we don't have really much going on. I mean, I had surgery 2 weeks ago, and it was the only surgery I've ever had in my entire life. So, um, for like 3 days, I was a baby. You know, 3 days, I was like, "Don't touch me, don't talk to me. I'm in pain. I can't walk."
right,
Um,
no
it's
touchy.
it's tough. Yeah, no touchy. But like when I was a massage therapist, I would deal with stuff like this all the time. But like obviously on like the skin, the muscular side of it, nothing internal.
Right,
And I wouldn't even know like where to start or where to go, like or what advice to give people. It's just like how do you doctor not know what's going on with me? Why do I have
right.
to go to another doctor to figure out what is going on?
It's really confusing because people, they just don't experience the life that I have, which is totally fine. And I'm actually grateful for that. Like, I would rather you not have to experience it because it's not a good time.
Right.
But the thought of someone going to a doctor and not being able to get the help that they need, the diagnosis that they need, medications that they need just blows people's minds. They're like, that's not possible, right? Like, you went to a doctor, you went to a specialist, you should be
Right.
fine. And life just isn't that easy for chronically ill people, man.
I know, and people don't. I guess they don't know about it. I mean, I see your posts. Like, I'll see you post something every once in a while where you're like in pain, you're at home, and I don't know the magnitude of it. In my mind, I'm like, she's not feeling well. Maybe she has an upset tummy or something, and she just doesn't want to move. But it's a lot more severe than that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wake up every single day and I have to lay in bed for an hour because, like, I don't know if this is graphic, but I have like a giant lump like this big in my
Mm-hmm.
stomach just sitting for about an hour until I take some of my stomach meds that they've given
Right.
me to help alleviate some of my symptoms. And I just have to lay there because I'm in so much pain every single day until
Is
I take
that of food?
no,
What?
I just have basically an alien in my stomach and I don't know what's happening. Like, it's scary. Like, can you just imagine just waking up and looking down with a giant like lump in your stomach and you don't know what
Right.
it is?
You don't know what it is. I would hope, well, I would comfort me if I knew what it was. Like, oh, it's
Right,
food. Like I'm not digesting right. It's like bulking up
right.
right here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, hold on one sec. I'm gonna do a little intro into Facebook, and we're just gonna keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the Facebook part. It's not a huge thing, but what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Raw Focus. As everything starts to come back to normal, as life is normalizing a little bit, and we're hit phase 2 or 3 here in Reno. I'm doing less of these podcasts, but I'm actually filling more space, so it's doing well. I'm starting to target some people now that I've always wanted to kind of ask about. And again, Raw Focus is just, I always felt that a lot of people knew about me. I have all these friends. I have all these people that I know, but ultimately I don't know anything about them because I'm so selfish and I love to talk about myself and hear my own name that I don't really get to put that out there. So today we have Holden Wunders. If you guys follow my Facebook or photography, she'll look very familiar because we've done a ton of creative projects together. A lot more to happen in the future as everything starts to get back to normal. But I've known her as a model, alternative model. She'll kind of get into that as well and what she can do and what she does do, and how you can support and follow her. But also, I want to get to know her a little bit more. So, Holden, thank you so much for joining me. How is your day?
Thanks for having me, man. I've just been
Yeah.
blasting it around the house trying to get pumped up.
For
My
this?
been sitting on the computer trying to write his book, and I put it on Spotify on my TV so that I could hear it while I was doing makeup, just like blasting Popular and No Good Dude and all.
So your hubby's at home right now writing?
Yeah. He's a writer.
What is he writing?
He, as you can see, I love me some books. So
Yeah,
like
that's cool.
worked out really well for me. He loves writing science fiction and fantasy, but it's really cool because he writes everything. He just finished his first big novel, and it's like a science fiction fantasy thing. I don't know how to get into that type of genre as much because it's not usually my jam, but like
Right.
crap, it's so good. And then he's writing one that he started a while ago that I would basically liken to a Chuck Palahniuk book, which is my jam. Like, that's what I want to read. I'm really excited for him to finish that. I'm reading the fantasy one while he's finishing my book.
Right.
So, but he writes a little bit of everything. It's really cool that he can just, you know, it's hard as an artist to really go along all avenues
Right.
and hit a point, especially in writing. You know, you see a writer and you're like, oh, they write fiction, oh, they write fantasy, they do poetry, but he just does all of it.
It's, I mean, writing in general, and I was actually having this conversation with somebody the other day because they wanted to start writing a book, and I was like, where do you even start from there? Like, it's not something, so I'm very like intermediate. Like, even when I started this podcast, it was very like, I need to have something out now. Like, I need to have an hour podcast that's available for people to watch now. I can't work on something for a year and then put it out.
Right.
So the patience he must have just to sit there and write, like, oh my God, I would talk myself out of it all day.
As like an artist where, you know, we do a photo shoot and you edit the photos and we get the finished project within, you know, a couple weeks to a couple months, just depending on who the person is. But spending all this time, let's just say 6 months to a year straight, writing this book, not
Right.
getting paid, not getting anything about it, and then trying to give it to people being like, hey, read my stuff, pay me, right? I already did all
Right.
the work, pay me now.
God, yeah, that's, I mean, it's good. I've always been envious of that. And, you know, if I write anything, it'll be about photography, but I've always like, how do I do it? What am I going to do? So
Right.
let's tell the people, what do you do? I mean, I want to talk about how we kind of met each other, but like, let's tell people what you do. The people that are joining us now who are like, who is this chick?
Who are you? You know, I just started my very first photo shoot. I love Suicide Girls. If you don't know what Suicide Girls is, it's basically an alternative platform for women who are modified, different colored hair, tattoos, piercing, basically Playboy, all inclusive.
Right.
And it's just a really awesome place. And I saw Suicide Girls. I grew up very Christian, and I saw it once when I was 16, and I was like, that's so cool. I want tattoos. And so when I turned 18, I was like, I'm going to do it. And then I got way too scared. So I didn't actually start until, gosh, like.
Are you talking about like the modeling part of it? Like to become a Suicide Girl?
Yeah, I just looked from afar until I was like 22, 23.
Right.
And my very first photo shoot ever, and I actually did my set for Suicide Girls, and that's my first experience in modeling.
What?
So it was scary, but I figured I was so scared of modeling in general
Right.
that if I was going to do it, I was just going to fully commit to it. So I was going to do modeling, my set for Suicide Girls, which is completely nude if you didn't realize that before.
Right. So it's Suicide Girls is it was brought on because, you know, when you looked at Playboy, you looked at anything beauty modeling wise, it was always this, you know, blonde hair, white skin, big boob, big butt girl. And then as I was growing up, Suicide Girl was, the girls with the tattoos, the girls with the different hair, the girls with the piercings would all of a sudden have this platform to kind of go on. And ultimately that's kind of what everybody is. If you have everybody has a tattoo now. So like,
right.
it's kind of the norm.
Right. I really like it because now they haven't moved away from that modified culture at all. Like you said, tattoos are really prevalent in society.
Right.
But now there's no standard. Like if you want to model, you can model for Suicide Girls. You don't have any tattoos, you can still model for Suicide Girls. I just really appreciate how inclusive it is to every single woman. And they have Suicide Boys too. It's a smaller platform on the site.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But yeah, all inclusive, man, men, women,
I'll
whatever.
get on there. Yeah, I'll do some selfies. So the cool thing that I liked about with Suicide Girls is that it's user generated. So I've gotten a lot of emails on like girls that want to become Suicide Girls, and they're like, yeah, we need a photographer. And then I went on the site and it said a photographer needs to have like 3 to 5 sets, and they'll become a suicide photographer and all this stuff. And I never pursued it, but I always thought it was interesting. Like a lot of the images that are on there are completely different styles rather than just that one, let's say Playboy style or Hustler style or whatever. So it's really interesting to kind of see. And then also it makes women, these women are now boys, these gentlemen entrepreneurs as well. You go by Holden Suicide, right?
Yeah.
How did you get this name?
So I decided when I started my Suicide Girls venture that I wanted to bring in who I am a little bit more than just seeing my tattoos and trying to figure out who this person is. So I wanted my sets, every single set that I have, to be encompassed with books somehow. So
Mm-hmm.
I had a list of characters from books that I absolutely loved, and I actually landed on Holden from Catcher in the Rye, who is actually a boy in the book, and it just felt right. I
Cool.
really don't know how else to describe it. It took me a couple months. Like, I went through so many different names. I didn't necessarily land on that book one right away. I was like, "Ooh, I'll be Mooney," but there's already a Mooney Suicide, so you can't have the same name as someone
Right.
else. And I was writing it down, and I was like, what if I just do books? Like, every single set that I have will have at least a book in it. It will be themed book, even if you don't see it. Like, I want people to think about my work and my art. And then I just kept seeing Holden on my notepad, and it
Yeah.
worked. No one else had it. And I was like, this is
I
it.
like the name. Yeah, I like the name. But like when I was introduced to you, I can't remember. I think it was just through Facebook or Instagram or something. Somehow I saw you somewhere, and I reached out, and I had this really cool concept, and I was like, I would love to work with you. So I'm a huge fan, obviously, of tattoos. I'm a huge fan of I not really alternative. I just like something different. I get a lot of messages about girls. Hey, I want to shoot in lingerie. I want to do this thing, and I'm kind of like done it a
Well,
ton. Like you can hire me for sure.
right.
But you had some different things going on, and I like that. You did mention that you grew up Christian. How is that playing in your life right now? I mean, how's that working?
I grew up in the church 5 days, 7 days a week. We were deep.
Crazy.
My mom worked at the front desk. She became the purchasing agent after a while. My father worked on the worship team. I walked from school every day after school down to the church where my mom worked and just volunteered. So it was a very strong part of my life, but at the same time, I was bisexual. I felt very not accepted in
Right.
ways that I felt like I should.
How old were
Especially,
you at this point?
well, my family wasn't religious at all until we moved here when I was 5. So from 5 till I lived with them till I was 21.
Oh,
That was one reason when I turned 18, I was like, I can't do Suicide Girls. Like, my parents are going to find out. I'm going to kicked out. They're going to hate me. I'm going to go to hell. Like, all of
right.
these things, which is quite silly
Yeah.
thinking about hindsight,
But
but
it's not though. But I mean, that's what people think of because that's the first thing I thought when you said Christian, and I'm like, but I know what you're posting and I know what you're pushing out. Like, there had to be a conversation at some point where you're like, I'm still Christian, heavily Christian, but it's cool that I do this. Are mom and dad still around?
no, I'm estranged from them
Okay.
due to other reasons, not due to Christianity. I don't have anything against Christianity. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a Christian anymore, but I do believe in a God. I just don't believe in the institution and religion.
Right.
Um, I have a lot of friends who I grew up with in the church, and they're super supportive of what I do still. And it's just a really cool just way that turned out, and the people in my
Right.
life that are still there that I grew up with is interesting.
Well, no, your support system's your support system, and it's interesting how like you kind of find your people. Like the people I hung out with when I was 21 to 18 aren't people I hang out with anymore, and that's just kind of how life is.
Right.
And ultimately, it ended up, it works out for everybody.
Right.
So where are you from before you moved here?
I was born in Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, it's very hot right there. My wife wants to move there.
I can't do the heat, man.
Yeah, so I got, what was it, last year? I went there and I shot an event for like an ear company, and we were talking to everybody there as we were Ubering around. They're like, yeah, it's a great place to live, all but like 1.5 months of the entire year, where everybody just wants to get the heck out because it's so hot. And like right now outside, I was outside right before this, and I feel like I was dying. from the
Right.
heat. So I can't imagine, doing anything more than that. It's 90 degrees right now. Anything over
Right.
100, I'm going to throw up.
Yeah, it's definitely rough there. It's funny because one of my best friends that I grew up with lives in Tucson now, and I have so many friends that are model suicide girls that live around Tucson or just, Arizona in general, that I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to shoot with you. I don't know if I can come there
Right.
though.
But I mean, like, that's a good environment for getting naked and getting in front of a camera because it's
Exactly.
always warm. Like, you can't do it certain months here. We're like, sorry, I'd love to go outside, but it's snowing and we're not going to be able to shoot.
But I'm going to get hypothermia. So, no.
So let's bring this back to what you're doing now. So obviously modeling Suicide Girls, it's not really about nudity, but it's a big part of it. What else are you doing in this world? So your husband's an artist. You're in this, I don't know. I mean, you're constantly, you're like an entrepreneur in my mind. I don't know if you consider yourself an entrepreneur,
I would like
but
to
you're,
think.
yeah, you're busting your butt to do things that people don't do, and people are paying for it.
Mhm.
I mean, people joke with me all the time about my YouTube videos and my podcast. Like, dude, are you making any money from it? And I'm like, I'm doing pretty well. But it's a lot of work. It's, it's not just putting a video out there.
Right. It's not just to sit down and make a video and it's just easy peasy like that. You have to think of all the equipment that you have, the cost of it, your lights, your editing, your marketing skills, your
Right.
communications, your customer service. It's a whole business by
So
yourself.
how do you make money? What are you doing?
So I make modeling through, I make money through modeling, creating my own art, and then, doing shoots with locals. So I have different platforms that I sell through, whether it's Patreon, OnlyFans, Snapchat, stickers, Polaroids, prints. I just kind of try to make it all encompassing. I send it like monthly packages to people of just different stuff that I'm doing that month. So
Really you've become kind of like this mini celebrity within this world where people find you, they're interested in you as a person, and then ultimately you give them access into your world, right? And so it's nothing crazy expensive, but they can pay a certain amount and they can get like you said, Polaroids or maybe even artwork or something where they believe in you so much. And, I guess it's like following any celebrity. When when the Kardashians put out a shoe or a perfume or whatever, they're pushing that product out. You ultimately are doing the same thing, but kind of like within a local group, or is it, how big does it get?
I mean, I have people from all over the world. I've sent packages to Europe. It just
Crazy.
really, I don't have a lot of people that I have active like packages that I'm sending to every month in Reno in particular. But they're everywhere, man. I think it's just really cool. Social media really has opened up getting close to people, and I think that that's just something that we need.
Right.
I mean, social media, there's good and there's bad that comes from it, but at the same time, people just want to connect. When it comes down to it, people just want to connect. And if you can connect with someone that you don't know, that you admire, that you want to model like me, or you just want to be a friend, or if you just have a crush on me, or like whatever it is, if you just want to with me, you have the ability to, and I just find that really cool. And it goes both ways. I get to meet so many cool people that I never would have had the opportunity to meet before.
I like that. I mean, and what do you say to those people that are like, this isn't a job, this isn't, because it's so crazy to me. I used to even think about it, like I know that the stuff that I'm pushing out is like information, and so people follow me for information. Nobody's contacting me for like nudes of me. And I don't get those Instagram, messages from all these weird people, all hours of the night. But instead of you kind of turning that and saying, oh my God, you're gross, you have a way of saying, yeah, if you guys want more, you got to pay me for it and I'll show you. I mean, and then how does your hubby feel about that? Or like, how have you navigated that? I mean, he must be pretty open to and trusting, obviously, to let that happen.
I mean, when it comes down to it, it's my job. This is just what I do. And for anyone who says it's not a job, do it. Try it. See how hard it is. See how easy you think it is. I mean, when it comes down to it, I know a lot of, I don't know if I can say the word sex, but sex workers that
Yeah,
are,
that's a normal word. That's
I'm
not a,
just making
that's not even like fuck shit or balls. That's
nudity. So,
it's just a
but
word.
sex workers, men, women, and if you think that you can just pull out your dick and take a picture and make hundreds of dollars that month, go
I
for it.
cannot.
Try
Yeah,
it.
I've tried.
Dare you to do it. Like, it's a scary thing. You have to, it's a lot of work. It just, people don't understand how much work it is. But when it comes down to it, it's just my job.
Right.
So, you know, my husband and I have been here for 2 months now, quarantining. So I have to go do customs in the other room. And he's like, have fun. I'm going
Right.
to check Snapchat when you're done,
Right.
you
I mean,
know?
because it's your guys' relationship, you know, and I think I've tried to explain this to people. Like, it's never really about, you know, if you give somebody an excuse to get mad, they're going to get mad. But if you guys had like a bad relationship or something was going on before, this is an easy excuse for him to be like, how dare you do this? You're, you know, cheating on me, you're doing whatever. But obviously, if the relationship is secure, then he's like, have fun. And, you know, I think a lot of people are always confused on that when like let's say even porn, like a porn star has this entire, you know, has a husband at home, but they still do porn on the side. And people are like, how does that even happen? It's a mindset. Right.
Communication, and then realizing when it comes down to it, it's your job. That's what you do. I'm not going to go get mad at him for writing a book or
Right.
selling to someone and them freaking out about it and being in love with him and his writing, or selling a car. Like, it's the same exact thing. It's just what I do, and it gives me the ability to work at home and
Right.
do it. So
So
there's
how has the quarantine been for you guys? I mean, what have you guys been doing? It's been, I want to say like 9 weeks now for all of us. I technically am not allowed to work still, but how are you guys doing?
I hate saying good, but we've been great.
Right. What do you mean by that?
I'm such an empath. So there was a point where after a couple of weeks where everything really started going down, everyone started getting quarantined, where I couldn't watch the news anymore. I couldn't
Right.
look at stats. I couldn't, because I would just cry all day. But quarantine is my life. This is what I was made to do. I am already quarantined. I've been quarantined since July. The only times I've been going out are to get groceries with him
Mm-hmm.
and go to the doctor, you know? So I'm not going stir crazy, because this has been what I've been doing my entire life,
Right.
you
Right.
know? And he's very much introverted. So it gave him the time to finish his book and fully edit it and continue in the art. And I don't know, the art doesn't stop when you can't go outside, you know?
Right. Well, I feel like your guys' professions are kind of made for the quarantine, you know, being able to, especially him, he can go anywhere, which is something I kind of envy about book writers, is they can go to a coffee shop and spend six
Right.
hours there and that's their job. We haven't really mentioned this. We did it kind of in the pre-show right before we got on live here on Facebook, but if you're okay with that, yeah, can you tell people what you mean by you've been quarantined since July?
So I am chronically ill. I have been diagnosed with a chronic pain nerve disorder. So basically your central nervous system, which runs through your entire body, and how you know how to function. You stub your toe, and it's not your toe that's actually hurting, it's the nerves in your toe. You stub your toe, and
Mm-hmm.
immediately your nervous system shoots up to your brain. Your brain says, ow, shoots down and goes, stop that. So my illness is basically my central nervous system constantly malfunctioning. So it's everything, whether it's eating, sleeping, pain, digestion.
So are you feeling like, I don't want to call it phantom pains, but are you feeling like phantom pains everywhere where even nothing's happening? Like you feel like something firing off in the rest of your body?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just malfunctioning. So like I have to wrap my arms every night before I go to bed, because I won't be able to lie on them because they hurt so bad. And then once you start getting used to the pain and start protecting yourself from the pain, because pain isn't supposed to be long lasting like that, it
Right.
affects other bodies, whether it's your joints or your muscles or other things like that. So it might have started as incorrect pain sensors in different spots that shouldn't be experiencing pain, to my muscles constantly spasming and I can't walk.
Oh,
So it really goes from like a 0 to 60 real quick.
God, that's crazy. And so what do you take for that? I mean, are you taking pharmaceuticals? Are you doing weed? What's going on? How does that help?
So I've been dealing with pain since, I mean, first that I can really remember, I was probably around 10, and I would get what I called fire leg, where
Right.
every night my calves would swell. It would wake me up out of sleep, and it would just feel like my legs were on fire. And my mom would always like be like, it's growing pains, you know? And so I
Hmm.
grew up with it, not realizing that that was abnormal until I was in my senior year of high school, and I started getting horrible back pain. And it took a lot of specialists to realize that my pelvic bone was tilted incorrectly.
Mm.
Um, they were actually rubbing on the nerves in my lower back. So, you know, the first thing that they did is put me on Vicodin, pharmaceuticals, Norco, whatever you
Just
want to
to,
call it.
yeah, mask the pain rather than help it.
But my pain's not going to go away.
Right.
So, on that for the rest of my life wasn't suitable to me. And, you know, your body gets tolerant, it builds up tolerance to medications like that. So I've tried so many different types of treatments. My illness is incurable. And there's still not a lot of research on it. So the only drugs used for treatment are used for other things that sometimes helps people with my illness. And they've all
Okay.
backfired hard on me. So I just stepped away as much as I possibly could from pharmaceuticals. I still see my doctor every single month. But I decided to delve into the life of marijuana and kratom. And I
What's
use
kratom?
so basically, I always talk about kratom is the other marijuana that no one knows about. It's the marijuana Vicodin. So it's
Okay.
basically from Southeast Asia, and it can be ground up into teas or capsules, and it still hits the pain receptors in your brain,
Right.
but it's completely natural. And you know, there's side effects and there's pros and cons with everything, but I would much rather take something more natural that helps my pain than a pharmaceutical drug that has effed me up in the past.
Well, even
Uh,
taking a natural pain, even if it didn't do anything, it's still natural, so it'll still
yeah.
metabolize normal. And whereas even a medication, a pharmaceutical that'll work well, it'll still be in your body and it still can cause long-term effects.
Right. So I take kratom every day. I got off of the Norco like pain meds that they were giving me a couple years ago because it just, my tolerance was too high. I didn't want to get addicted and have to deal with that on top of my illness. So I weaned down, and then I found kratom and I just started taking it from there. You can find it at head shops. You can find it
Right.
on the, can find it a lot of places, but you have to be careful because things like that aren't necessarily regulated. So you have to make sure that nothing else is in things like that. You know, like you don't want
Right.
other drugs to be mixed into it, and then you're actually taking something even worse than what you had originally planned to let go of, you know?
So that's not regulated right now at this point, right?
Mm-mm.
I mean, that's what a beauty of I like with marijuana now, being able to learn a lot about it in the last like couple of years, photographing it. I'm on retainer with a couple companies that allow me to get into that world, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning so much about it. But I'm still so naive. Like I don't use it as much as anybody. When it first came out, they gave me a bunch of stuff, and I still have all that stuff.
Or like what?
Um, yeah, but I feel because like I'm just so always on, and like I don't even have time to like drink and sit down. So that's what I
Right.
equate it to.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
that's
I love,
amazing.
it's great. It has helped me a lot. I take an edible every night, and it's the only thing that even gives me a couple hours of relief so that I can sleep. So
Right.
I don't know. It's great.
It's well, yeah, that's crazy. I never even heard of that, but like that's one of my when I used to do massage therapists, people would come in and I can't remember the syndrome, but basically like every time I would touch them in a certain area, they would feel it in another area.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had one woman who like the massage would or would not happen, or we would sit for an hour and talk because sometimes her body was just so out of
That,
whack. I would, I would start to like just even put the lotion on like her back, and all of a sudden she would just tense up and start to like snake out because it hurt so much. And I just couldn't imagine that feeling. And almost in my mind, I was like, is this even real? Is this in her mind? Like, what's going on? And, knowing now that like it's an actual thing, I just because I don't experience doesn't mean it's not a real thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. So how is this? I mean, what does your husband do to help? I mean, I'm sure he has like a routine.
Yeah, we both definitely have routines, just depending on the day. Again, everything is a lot more elevated due to the fact that I got really sick in July and still don't know what caused it. It's separate from
this.
my original diagnosis. So, wake up every day, try to take my stomach meds so they calm down a little bit, and then go from there. It really is a day by day. How am I feeling? Like usually if I can sleep 5 or 6 hours, then I'll feel a little bit better. And if I feel better physically, I'll feel better mentally. But, the other night, yesterday, actually, I was even considering being like, oh, am I going to have the ability to even do this interview with you? I thought I slept. I thought I did good. And I woke up and I could barely move. Like I felt like my entire body was weighed down with bricks. I was so nauseous. I could barely eat. I couldn't do anything. So it's really just having that patience of learning what the day is going to be before you know.
Well, I mean, thanks for hanging out with me, but I would have totally been okay of rescheduling. I mean, these are fun to do. We can do anytime, but ultimately I want you to.
I mean, the day to day, like I just never know. Like I didn't know how I was going to feel today versus yesterday until I woke up. you know, sometimes it's just a matter of pushing it and just getting through it and doing a shoot when you might not necessarily feel the best for the shoot, but weighing the options and what is going to be better. A lot of the time for me, it's a mental game because I'm always sick. I'm always going to feel pain. I'm always going to be exhausted. I'm already going to have this many symptoms that if I can push through it and I can have a good day mentally, then if I did something productive, that was a good day for me. It's taking the little wins where you can.
I mean, the positivity's there, and I love that. And I know a lot of people that can't do that. Same with me in any type of pain. Like we were talking before, and I had the surgery 2 weeks ago, and like I said, I was a baby for 3 days, and then I was good for 2 days, and I was like, oh my god, I have a cramp going on. Like we gotta cancel everything. It's over. Life is over. And that's kind of where I was. So let's transition this into your photo shoots. So that's how I know you, right? I think I knew you as Holden Suicide originally through Instagram or Facebook. I can't remember. And then I had this concept where I like to do creative shoots. I like to reach out to models and do stuff that people aren't hiring me for, but ultimately I might be hired for it. So we had this really cool 70s vibe in a park that was at like a tennis court, and we did it, and there was a fire in the sky, so we had the super smoky weird sky. It just turned out amazing. We had a really cool makeup artist join us as well, and that's how we kind of met each other, was for that shoot. But tell me about, what kind of photo shoots are you into? What kind of photo shoots make you excited?
Photo shoots that make you think at all. I'm a big intellectual. Just love looking at a photo and just thinking about all of the things that went into it. What were they thinking when when they were just creating the idea? How turn out differently with the final project? I really just like having a backstory to my shoots, and anything like with my self shoots in particular, every single step is curated, even the title of the entire shoot, so I always have a story in my head with what I want it to look like. Sometimes I just lay in bed when I can't sleep and I just run through ideas of shoots that I want to do and just write them in my notepad, and then they just kind of evolve from there. So just interesting, make you look at different angles, or just kind of think of, why did you do this? What made you do it?
Right. I mean, yeah, ultimately that's, I always say, creativity is dead at this point, but we always get something from somebody. Like I've never had an original thought ever. It's always come from something. But then I try to put my little tweak or spin on it. I'm okay admitting that. I think if anybody's ever said like, no, this is my thought completely, nobody's ever come with it ever. I'm at this point, I think you saw it somewhere, like even when you were a kid or something.
We've progressed enough in society that every idea is an offshoot of something else.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with making something better or making something your own. And that whole debate is kind of crazy.
Just
So
replicating is the problem. Doing the exact same, not putting your own spin on it, not playing with the lights, not playing with the idea is where you get into weird territory. But
has that happened to you? Has somebody theoretically stolen something you've done and you've seen it?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely quite a few shoots that I've done that I'm like, that looks exactly the same.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I'm assuming that they know me. Like, that's narcissistic. I'm assuming that they saw my work. I'm assuming that they were like, oh, well, I'm going to do better. I'm assuming a lot if I think things like that. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I do. Everyone's human. But if they did it better, they did it better. If they did it exactly the same, then the people who follow me and want to see my work are there for me, not for the project around me,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, ultimately, like, it happens all the time. And luckily, I've never actually done something somebody else has done, so I've never gotten these messages. But I've seen these messages kind of come out where, like, you stole this. This was my location. This was my idea. And, it's a little annoying to worry about that. It is. It's just crazy. So your whole modeling career has pretty much been with Reno photographers?
Yeah.
How do you feel? So you obviously, I mean, being a Suicide Girl, you're following hundreds of models, hundreds of photographers everywhere. How do you feel like the Reno community is compared to everybody else?
I think that's a really hard question.
I know, because you're going to either stab yourself in the face or
you're setting me up for failure, actually. But I mean, Reno is a really small place when it comes down to it, and especially within our community. So, I heard of you before I even talked to you before I knew all things about Jeramie Lou, before I had even remote contact. I know, juicy. So I think a lot of it comes down to gossip and competition, and you're doing what I did and you stole my idea. I find a lot of that. So I try just to separate from it and find the artists out there who are doing something different, who stay out of the drama, who I don't feel like are just baiting and baiting. And this doesn't count you being on like news news reports on like Facebook, because I follow your trolling on Facebook. And
I love to troll people. People are just so fucking serious every day. You can't post anything with somebody calling you a liberal.
But I don't know. There's amazing people in this community, people that I still haven't even been able to work with yet. And I think that if you find what you're good at, you find what you want to do, you'll find the people like you in the community, know, and that's down to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same way. I'm nitpicky on who I work with because my time is the only thing that I have. I do a lot of these trade shoots, and for those that don't know, trade shoot is time for time. So nobody's getting paid, nobody's paying anybody. We're basically just getting creative minds together, and we are creating art. And for me to spend that amount of time with somebody, I need to know that they're going to produce. I need to know that they're going to be good to hang out with, and that they're going to be legit at the end of whatever they're supposed to do with the photos, right? So they're not just giving them away, or they're not selling them. They're not going to talk crap about me because they were able to work with me or whatever.
Right.
And so
respect for just respecting the people that you're talking to, respecting the artists. I've had a lot of people get really mad at me because they were like, hey, I want to do a boudoir shoot. And I don't do a lot of boudoir anymore. Right. It's just my jam. It's not something that I found super interesting for me personally. So I'm like, hey, I charge this much, and man, do I get people being so mad that I won't do a trade shoot.
So I'm going to do a little PSA here for all my photographer friends out there. Guys, it's okay that a model wants to charge for their time, because it's okay that you want to charge for your time. The licensure is theoretically the same. So if you contact a model who's always posing in lingerie or always wearing a cowboy hat or always doing something and you want to get that shot done, be prepared to pay them for that. But also, depending on the amount that you pay them, you get to contract and figure out how much of the work is yours, how much is there. So basically you can just say, hey, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to edit these are mine, none to you. And the model can be like, cool, well, that's going to be $500 an hour if I don't ever get to see it. But if you can negotiate around that, cool. But like, don't get mad at a model for charging. It has nothing to do with you. It's their time. That'd be like me not wanting to charge because I'm such a nice guy. And I am, but like, I also have a family and I just don't want to do the same. I mean, I shoot a ton of weddings. It'd be weird for me to be like free weddings for a year because I want to build my wedding portfolio.
Right.
It's insane.
It's just having the respect for people. Like, it's totally fine if you don't want to pay me for a boudoir shoot. And I'm just using boudoir because it's an easy thing to for everyone. But like, if you want me specifically to do a boudoir shoot, just pay me, and my rates aren't crazy, man. But then you get to make the other rules, you know?
Right. And it's worth your time to do something exciting too, that maybe you have posed for a ton and you're kind of like, all right, doing it again.
Right, exactly. For me, I just want to do things interesting and things that I haven't done before. And that's really where I went from. I did Suicide Girls and I'm still doing Suicide Girls, but a lot of my stuff evolved into some editorial stuff or just a little bit of everything, just because I wanted to do something else. I already did that.
Right.
I wanted this now, you know?
Right. I agree. I mean, that's ultimately where it is. So who are you? What gets you excited about? What photographer gets you excited? Or so like, I get this all the time. I get a lot of newer photographers who will reach out and be like, bro, like I need to get models and I don't know how to ask for them. And typically it's a dude talking to me. And it's hard for us guys to reach out to a girl model because it's always a pervy thing. There's always some inkling on like, what does this guy want? And so I knew that by the time I asked you to work with me, I've already had a reputation built. And so if it was anything where you're like, well, what, you know, I didn't ask for boudoir, I didn't ask for nudity. I said, I have a cool concept 70s, let's go. And then the shoot turned out, you know, very PC. It was a very good shoot. How do these newer photographers come up to you and ask you, and then how do you end up saying yes to them? What does it take?
Are you specifically talking about, because I think that gets separated into more PC shoots versus boudoir implied nude shoots. So for me personally, I really like being able to see a portfolio, especially for nudity. If you've never shot nudity before and you don't me, then it probably won't happen. I get a lot of people being like, oh, I want to pick up photography and I want to do a Suicide Girl shoot with you. But I guarantee you've never read the Suicide Girl fact sheet for photographers before. Just because you've taken like some cell phone pics of your ex-girlfriend that you posted on your Instagram doesn't mean you're gonna get in front of your camera. I've been asked by so many people to come to their apartments and lay on their bed, and I'm like, you couldn't enough. So I think really just, again, it comes back to respect. If you want to do a nude shoot with me, cool. If you haven't done nudity before, I'm gonna need a little bit more. Are you just male gaze me? Like, are you trying to sell my nude photos? Like, I just need more information.
And is that what you think though? I mean, is that something that goes through your head when somebody messages you like, hey, I'd love to do a nude shoot with you? I mean, are they asking for rates? Are they asking for trades? Like, what's the conversation going on? And what are you thinking?
It's kind of a little bit of everything. You know, I get random people who don't even have profile pictures on their Instagrams.
That's sketchy as balls.
I don't even bother answering messages like that. But, you know, if I see you have a portfolio, you are asking about my rates, you're setting up a location, you already have a studio, you are renting a studio space, you know, I'm not just going to hop in your bed and do a shoot with you, you know what I mean? So I think for me, it's a lot about communication and conversation. I won't do anything with anyone, regardless of how awesome you are, if I can't communicate with you. If I can't understand what you want from me, then that's not going to happen.
It's such common sense, though. Like, that's such common sense.
Would they-
Like, I don't know. I think just because of social media and all that, like I said, I don't get these type of messages. I know a lot of girls do. And it makes me weary on asking people to shoot with them, and like I said, like I have a studio, I have all this stuff, but it's always one of those things. And then the amount of when I haven't done a creative shoot in a while, it's been like a year. And with COVID, I had a couple set up and I didn't do it. But the amount of girls that would just show up by themselves and have never met me personally before, like luckily I'm a chill dude, but I'm just like,
Right.
why are you here by yourself? Like,
Right.
what is
Did you pick
happening?
your location to someone?
Something, yeah. Can I ping somebody? Because like I need to protect myself too. And
Right?
that's stuff that we have to think about. I don't want to be on the news one day and like, hey, this local photographer. And I'm like, no. I filmed everything. I vlogged. This is what's happening. We were
Right.
7 feet away.
Right. I think again, it's communication. If it was our first time meeting and you wanted to do an implied or a nude shoot, you already have the studio, you already have the clout, you already have your whole
Right.
portfolio, have your business set up. If you can't communicate with me and tell me what you want to do, then I probably still won't work with you because I don't want to be uncomfortable on set when I'm naked.
Right.
I don't know what's happening. If you can't communicate with me through a message about what you want, how are you going to communicate with me when I'm standing nude in front of you asking what to do,
Right. Yeah, that's definitely a newer photographer thing.
I
I would
just,
say.
and like, there's always going to be a hint of being skeptical as a woman with a dude coming into your DMs and being like, hey, I want to shoot with you. But like, honestly, being more upfront instead of being like, well, I think that maybe if you felt comfortable and perhaps we could do an implied, and then maybe if you wanted to do more, like, I need a conversation. Like I
Right.
just want to do,
Just like an interview, like a business interview.
Totally.
That's really what it is. How did you and your hubby meet?
We met through a friend a long time ago. I was actually living in California and I was in a long distance relationship with someone in Reno.
Oh.
And I know it sounds skeevy, but it's not skeevy. And he was just a friend of both of ours. And anytime I came to Reno and my boyfriend was ignoring me, this other dude was like hanging out with me and not being weird, not being like,
Right.
I'm that. Just like being a person, just, being treated as a person is a really great. And we eventually broke up. And then I was living in California and we just kept talking. And then over like 6 months to a year, it just got more and more. And I actually just moved back to Reno and we moved in together and got married 6 months later.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And how long have you been married now?
Oh no. I'm so bad at dates.
What is that? How is that? That's a normal question. You should just be ready for it.
I should know. I think we're coming up on 5 this September.
So when's your wedding date? When's your wedding? Like what day did you get married?
September 8th, but the year is eluding me.
Oh my God.
Again,
Jesus.
I'm that boyfriend that has no idea we've been together for a year or 6 months.
I mean, I got married on 6, 7, 8. That's how we remember it. So in a couple weeks, we're coming up on 12 years.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's what you do. We got engaged on 7-Eleven, July 11th.
Shut up.
Yeah, no, not at 7-Eleven, but like on 7-Eleven.
On 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Did you get after though?
Did we what?
Did you get Slurpees after?
No, we didn't do Slurpees. My engagement story is really kind of, it's really kind of, I mean, like, it's funny because like I was working and I had the ring and I knew I was going to propose. I wanted this elastic. I wanted this like big thing to happen and I couldn't hold the ring anymore. And I got super nervous. So I remember I was driving home. I was a food server at a restaurant and drove to our apartment where we lived. And it was like a 20-minute drive. And I got there and we had a little pond. This was kind of off South Meadows. And there's a little pond in the back. And so I was like, let's go for a walk, which we never do. And then we went for a walk and then we finished the walk and we proposed or I proposed. I don't remember what I said. She said yes. Very impromptu, still in my work clothes. So like, you know, server slacks, black shirt kind of thing.
Yeah,
And yeah. And then the only funny part that happened after that is we go in and she calls her dad, super excited. And her dad lives in LA at the time. And he was like, hold on, let me call you back. Like, she's like, Dad, Jeramie just proposed. I said, yes. He's like, okay, let me call you back. And we're like, all right, weird. So then he calls back and says, I was just proposing too. He had a girlfriend at the time and he was proposing too. They didn't get married eventually, but like, I'm like, yeah. So apparently 7-Eleven is the day to do it if you're proposing to people.
Apparently, I had no idea.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Kind of like that, just like spur of the moment. We had decided that, you know, I am super sick and having a full-time job with benefits is just not for me. Like, I can't physically do it. So I was working part-time, and we had discussed doing a domestic partnership so that I could get on his insurance. And so we had planned it. We were going to go to Carson and do this thing. So we started out the day. We went to Panda Express and just like and drove down to Carson City. And we got there and we walked into this building and we thought it was the right one, and it was not. And we were in there and we were lost. And the woman there was like, oh, are you trying to get hitched? And I was like, well, we're just trying to get a domestic partnership. And she was like, okay, so just go down this building, go to the right, you'll be in there. So we went into the next building. Wrong building again. We got pointed to another building, went into that one. We finally got to this table and the woman goes, yeah, we do marriage licenses here. And I was like, yeah, we just want a domestic partnership. And she was like, oh, that's in another building. And we were like, ugh. So we started walking down the hall and we just looked at each other and we're like, do you just want to get married instead? And then we just turned around because we were so lazy. And
too much work. Yeah, we've gone too far.
Much work. Another building, the fourth building.
Yeah.
So we got the marriage license. And then it was September 8th because it was really getting close to the 11th. And I was like, I'm not getting married on September 11th. Not happening. And it was the weekend, or it was a Friday. So it would have landed.
So it would have been, yeah.
And so I was like, calling my friend up who was in Virginia City, being like, can you make it to Reno by 4 p.m. at the chapel on 4th Street? Because we're getting married and we need a witness. We got married that day, went to In-N-Out, called his mom, and told her that we got married that day in the In-N-Out line. How
did she react?
She was so excited.
Yeah, good. I think it's cute. I mean, you know, like being a wedding photographer, yes, I want those grand kind of weddings because I like photographing. I want to get paid for that. But like these little weddings seem to last longer because there's not that whole, like, we have to do this. But, you know, it's either or. So there's nothing wrong with having a huge wedding. But like, so you guys never had a reception? You never had a huge wedding?
No. We were both of those people that were like, marriage doesn't mean anything to us. Like, I can be with you forever and be secure in that.
But you don't need that paper to say that.
Right, exactly. And we were both in that state of mind. So when it happened, we were just like, well, nothing's going to change. It's literally just a piece of paper and nothing, like, it exact same relationship 5 years later, 5 years later.
I mean, I'm going to say 5, but like, we don't know. He's going to be like, babe, it's been 10 years. We've been married for 10 years. I don't know why you keep saying 5. Does he know? Do you think he knows?
I don't know. I could go ask him.
You gotta, I mean, I would just start writing that down. Maybe get your next tattoo. Just get it on your hand.
Just get it right.
Yeah, I got it here. Like, I got this.
Next
this
time
one is 678 in Roman numerals.
Nice.
That's how I know. But I can't read Roman numerals. I just have to trust that that's correct. So, all right, Holden, we are coming to the end of our live here. It's going on pretty well. What I do want you to kind of pimp yourself out here a little bit because you have a lot of stuff going on. I want to make sure people know why I'm interested in talking to you and being your friend and, you know, all the stuff that we do. So we have a lot of shoots coming up still that we're going to be doing. I know that we're just going to create it as we go. Since we have that repertoire, it makes it a lot easier for me just to reach out and be like, hey, this is what I want to do. Meet me in the desert. Right.
Just free.
Good. I like that. Yeah, we'll ping each other just in case somebody gets murdered and
Yeah,
Just
right.
as
Just
long as it's not either of us. Like I didn't do it. Somebody did it, but I didn't do it.
perfect.
But tell people like how they can support you, how they can find you. Take some time and just spew it out.
Cool. So my username pretty much on every platform is Holden Wunders. Wunders is a play on my last name. So instead of W-O, it's W-U, like Wonderland. So yeah, we are everywhere. Holden Wunders on Instagram with a little, what is that little thing? Holden Wunders underscore on Instagram.
Underscore, yeah.
Got deleted and they won't give me my original back. But Twitter, Holden Wunders. I think Facebook is still Holden Suicide. Holden
Yeah, I
Wunders.
tagged you on that.
Holden Wunders on Patreon. Holden Wunders on OnlyFans. I always accept DMs, requests. If you just want to buy a particular print or a Polaroid or a package from me, I'll put one together especially for you. But pretty much Holden Wunders everywhere is how you can support me. Follow, like, pay me, what oh yeah, give me
Right.
money.
I like to attribute this to like back when I was a kid, I used to have posters of like models, right? Of swimsuit models. And it was the norm. Like if you were a boy, you had pictures of like Kathy Ireland or Cindy Crawford on your
Yeah.
wall. And it wasn't weird, right? I could just go to Kmart and then they had like this wall, and they still do like Spencer's Gifts, but like you have a wall of models. I can just buy that and put it on my wall. So there's nothing different.
I
Right.
have
Right. And so it's like it's kind of that whole support local thing where at least you know who the person is. And and I do want to tell people that you don't have just nude photos everywhere. You have tasteful clothing photos, tasteful nude photos, you have things. And then you also do those custom, and I see you post this on Instagram and stuff, but like you have custom Polaroids that you may just do for one person, a one of a kind kind of thing. And it supports you. It gets them to where they need to go with that Polaroid, whatever they're doing with it, putting in a magazine or something. I don't know what they're doing with it.
I mean, I have so many people buy, and for me too, like the people that are most scared to buy from me are women, but they don't realize 50% of my fan base, if you want to call it, or the people paying me are women. It's not weird. Like I have so many friends who buy Polaroids from me, whether it's nude or not. And just for me, specifically, I don't like having art of myself in my house. I like having just art.
Right.
So I don't having a picture of me and my husband just like sitting on a mantle. I just like having different people, different things to look at, different art forms, so
Right.
like if you need to be one of them, I got you.
I like that. Yeah. And I it's a great pivot, man. It's a great pivot on the Corona, on business, on, like you said before, like you can't do that 9 to 5. You can't really do that, just how everything's going on with you. So I think it's a smart pivot. And we know about influencers. We know about, YouTube, Instagram. We know that people are making money doing other things. I mean, shit,
Right.
I watch video games before I go to bed because I play video games, and I watch people play video games so I can get better at it.
Yeah.
And I always joke about that. I'm like, you're watching a dude play video game online, and you're not like, but I'm like, I'm learning, and he's making like
Hey,
$1,000 every time I watch him. So
I want to learn how to pose. Hit me up. Like I will teach you different poses that if you need help with like lighting yourself. I'm not the best at it because I'm not a photographer, but like I can wing it. I can show you how to do it,
right.
A lot that everyone has to offer, so it's really cool that I'm able to do that for anyone interested. If you want to learn how to be a model or tips and tricks and blah, 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 I will always give you safety tips and tricks. Take people with you.
Right.
So just doesn't get you, but like I'll always do that for free. But if you want a one-on-one session with me and you want to learn how to do what I do, I got you.
Right. So, I mean, guys, ultimately we'll end this with, you have a professional model in front of you that if you are getting into modeling, it doesn't have to be Suicide Girls. It doesn't have to be nude. Like she obviously does everything else. The stuff that we've done have been non-nude. So, just know that because you can actually see it on Facebook. But you guys have her at your fingertips. She's tagged on this. We have her tagged everywhere else as well. And of course, you can find her on Raw Focus. Holden, thank you so much for doing this. I totally appreciate it. Don't leave yet, but say bye to everybody on Facebook.
Bye.
Boom. Thanks, dude. That was good.
Good times. I liked it. That was my first one ever. McKenna asked me,
There's,
and I'm like, I'm scared. I'll do
what
one
is
with
she
Jeremy.
doing?
I don't know.
Oh,
She was,
yeah.
I think, too. But I was like, Jeramie asked me first, so I'm gonna do that and see
Hit
if I
them. I
say.
mean, yeah, hit as many as you can. She did one for me a few weeks ago, so that worked out well.
That's awesome. That makes me
Uh-huh.
happy. I'm here to go like your YouTube videos. What you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know what's going to come up to. I make a little bit of money doing this stuff. The podcast, I don't make like anything right now because it's new, but it was kind of something to do during Corona. And then the real reason I did it was like I like this forum. I like being able to talk to people. I
Right.
ultimately wanted to do it like face to face, but I actually like this Zoom aspect, so I might just stick to this.
That's fun.
Yeah, and when I'm listening to like other professional podcasts now, like all the celebrity ones, they're doing it Zoom too. So they're actually,
Right.
I started doing it first, and they started doing theirs, and then everybody's doing Zoom now, so they can get like people across the world to be part
All
of it.
about and man, that's just what people want. Just
Yeah,
connect to the people they see online.
I get, yeah, and yeah, it's a little
Cool.
weird, but like it's what
It's
it is.
really cool.
Yeah, I like it. What are you doing the rest of the day?
Trying to eat some food and hang out with my cats, play some Animal Crossing.
Yeah. Hey, are you vegan?
I am not.
I thought you were for some reason. I don't know why I thought you were, but in my mind, I was like, she's vegan, but I don't know if you
She's
posted something. She's a meat eater.
yeah, I'm a meat eater.
Oh. Awesome. All right. Well, then I'm going to let you go. I'm going to do a little intro here, but thank you so much for doing this. If you have anything that you ever want to push or promote that I can help with, like this is a forum that we're going to do it. So
Yeah.
just let me know, and then we can always get back on. And even if it's like a 30-minute thing, we're like, hey guys, I have this new thing coming out.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
I appreciate it. You're one of my favorite people, so always.
Thanks, dude. That means a lot.
Thanks.
You know
Thanks
a
for
lot of people.
I mean, I do know a lot of people, but seriously, I like anytime someone is like, "Do you need a photographer?" I have like a base of 5 people to go, and you are always one of them. You're
That's all I care about, man.
one of my favorite people in the community. Even though you're a troller, you are one of the
Yeah.
most people I have
If
ever.
people are getting trolled, they have an issue. Like if
Right.
they're leaving it for me to troll them and they don't get that I'm trolling them, then that's their whole bad.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, you're one of the kindest, most helpful entrepreneur dudes I've ever met in my entire life. So.
Thanks, man. Well, we'll
Yeah.
keep it going. Hopefully we keep pushing that forward. So,
Oh yeah.
all
Thanks,
right. Well,
man.
you enjoy your day.